The GKE website is very large and it's sometimes difficult to quickly find an answer to your questions. So it'd be useful to have an AI that could instantly and accurately answer questions about GKE. The problem is that out-of-the-box AIs such as Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude have high hallucination rates. They don't always provide correct answers, or the answers they give are too vague to be really useful. For instance, OpenAI tested its own models on a factuality benchmark called Simple QA and found that its models hallucinate between 37% and 80% of the time. Similarly, a Stanford study found that in the legal domain, large language models hallucinate at least 58% of the time when answering questions about legal cases. The researchers concluded that LLMs perform worse in complex domains that require nuanced understanding. Given Kubernetes complexity, hallucination rates are likely just as high when LLMs answer questions about GKE. Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short, addresses the hallucination problem. It significantly reduces hallucinations or overly vague answers to questions because it works in the following way. A user asks a question about GKE, and instead of guessing, the AI searches the GKE website and retrieves pages that pertain to the user's question. The AI then reads those salient pages and uses the official documentation to generate an answer to the question. In this way, RAG significantly reduces hallucination because it grounds its answers in a source of truth. Here's a RAG system I built. On the left is out-of-the-box Gemini, and it's powerful, but it wasn't built specifically for GKE. And on the right is the same Gemini model, but it's grounded in the GKE documentation. So let's ask these AIs the same question and compare their answers. And so the question is, I upgraded the nodes in my GKE cluster from version 1.32 to 1.33. Which version of containerd is being used? So you'll notice that the expert AI that's grounded in the GKE website is a lot faster than the non-grounded AI. And I'll just wait for that non-grounded AI to answer. Okay, so as you can see on the left side of the screen, the out-of-the-box Gemini gives a long, complicated answer about how to figure out what version of containerd your cluster is using. The answer is correct, but doesn't provide the actual answer. It doesn't know the actual version number of containerd that you would be running if you're using version 1.33 of GKE. Whereas the expert answer tells you right away it's version 1.33 is using containerd 2.0. It correctly and succinctly answers the question. And you can see inline references here to the web pages that were used to ground the answer. So if we click on the inline reference here, it takes us to the GKE release notes. And the RAG system found the answer to the question in the release notes, which is pretty remarkable because the answer is buried in a page that contains literally thousands of release notes. I counted the number of lines in this release notes page, and there are 9,000 lines. And in the January 16 release note, that's where it found the answer. With minor version 1.33 GKE nodes use containerd 2.0. Whereas the non-expert system, as I said before, just gives you instructions on how to find the version of containerd. And there are a lot of instructions here. Interestingly, it says, in summary, the GKE release notes for your specific GKE 1.33.x version will give you the precise containerd version, but it doesn't actually look up those release notes the way the expert AI did. Let's ask another question. So So the question is, how do I mount a GCE persistent disk volume in GKE? So on the left side of the screen, which is the regular Gemini, it provides the steps, but on the right-hand side, you see this warning icon and a warning message, and the warning correctly states that this method is deprecated and isn't recommended. So it does provide the steps for mounting the GCE persistent disk, but then again reiterates that it's not recommended, but it goes ahead and shows you how to do that. And so that's the correct answer. This is a deprecated method. And if we go down to the links here, to harden your cluster's security, and in this page, we'll do a search for GCE persistent disk. We see that it is, in fact, this is a deprecated method. The deprecated GCE persistent disk volume type lets you mount a compute engine persistent disk to pods, but we recommend that you restrict usage of this volume type in your workloads, and it explains why. So the expert system appropriately gave that warning message. It goes ahead, it doesn't second guess the user, it does go ahead and show the user how to do it. So it does provide the method, but with very clear warnings about it. Whereas the non-expert doesn't provide any warnings. So I think that if we were to host a GKE expert on the GKE website, it has the potential to significantly change how people interact with GKE documentation. It would give them direct, reliable answers really quickly. Instead of searching through a very large website, users could use an AI that gives direct, reliable answers instantly. So right now, if it takes a customer 10 minutes to find the answer to her question, and we have about 100,000 customers doing this each month, then that adds up to over 16,000 hours spent looking for answers. And an AI that provides clear responses instantly could save people a lot of time. It could increase customer adoption by making GKE easier to use. It would help new users get started faster, speed up customer workflows, be a valuable resource for Google engineers and technical writers, reduce support center calls. So I think the next step is to ask Google engineers and PMs and support staff to evaluate 3 AIs. The first AI is the regular out-of-the-box Gemini that we saw in the demo. It was the AI on the left side of the screen. The second AI is a general web search RAG system. It retrieves information from across the entire internet and grounds its answers on the most relevant pages it finds. It gets some information from the GKE website, but it also looks at information from Stack Overflow posts, blogs, and Google Cloud forums. That system has advantages, but also some disadvantages. The third AI is the GKE specific RAG system that was on the right side of the demo screen. It retrieves information exclusively from the official GKE documentation and generates an answer based on that information only. I've already created an app that could be used for testing. The first tab is the generic out-of-the-box Gemini. The second tab is a RAG system that uses general search to ground its answers. And the third tab is the RAG system we saw in the demo, which grounds its answers using the GKE website. And this table summarizes the 3 AIs I've implemented and that I think we should ask Google employees to evaluate. The second row, labeled source of information, shows what information a system uses to generate an answer, and the third row, labeled accuracy, provides my estimates of how accurate the three systems are when answering GKE questions. But we would want to test the three systems on Google employees and after that external customers to determine which AI would be the best GKE expert to host on the GKE website.